We record these meetings because we have a YouTube page where you can catch past meetings. I'm dropping that in the chat. If you want to catch up with meetings or refer to something that you heard before, catch that on YouTube. We also have a Slack channel where we post announcements and information about resources and things. So if you haven't joined that already, please feel free to do so. I'm always looking for featured speakers. So these are monthly informal peer-to-peer conversations. We typically have someone come and talk about what they're doing in the library in kind of a more long form. That can be, you know, with slides or more like a conversation, however you want to set it up. But I would love to have you talk about your program. If you're interested, let me know. And then so ALA annual is registration is opening next week. It's going to be in Philadelphia this year, end of June, June 26th to 30th. We're not doing anything, LBB is not doing anything specific. Brass always does a program, so maybe we can all try to coordinate and meet up there. But please let me know if you're thinking about attending annual. I would love to meet up with folks there. Had a lot of fun meeting people in this group at the conferences in the past, so I'd love to see you there. And what else? Oh, yes. And then in light of recent events, ALA has created like a story capturing system. So if you have stories about the good work your library does related to business or related to anything, you can use this form. I'm going to drop it in the chat to tell us about it. We're especially looking for stories about federal funding. Because of the change in administration and some of the things that we're concerned about. But if you just have some great stories about what your library is doing, you can still use that form or reach out to me because we're just trying to create like a whole story bank of like what libraries mean to their communities. So I would encourage you to take a look at that. We also I am part of the Public Policy and Advocacy Office at ALA. We just started a new campaign called Show Up for Our Libraries. I'm going to drop to that in the chat as well. If you're interested in receiving our kind of advocacy alerts or being plugged into what's going on Capitol Hill, you can follow along that way.
Megan,
Yes.
related to the stories and federal funding, sounds like SCORE and SBDC involvement would be good things to say.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Kristen. Yeah, so I dropped all of those links. Let me know if you have any questions about any of that. I'd be happy to talk with folks more, especially if you have concerns about library and library funding related to current political climate. Please let me know. I'm your friendly public policy and advocacy concierge. But I think without further ado, I will turn it over to Michelle. So Michelle, thank you so much for being here today and sharing a lot about what you're doing in Glenview.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Let me share my screen. The PowerPoint that I made has a lot of links, so I just made this document. It's not like graphically designed or anything, but that has like all of the links that are in the slides. So let me just go ahead and share my slides. All right, can everyone see the slides and also hear me?
Looks good. Let me hear you.
Well, thanks for having me again today. So my name is Michelle Doshi. I'm a reference librarian with 12 years of experience, and my current title is business librarian. I work in the adult community engagement department at Glenview Public Library, and I haven't actually been here for a full year yet. I'm coming up on a year. a couple of things that are really nice about working here is that this library has a long history of having a business librarian. So there's a lot that I had the ability to like sort of inherit. And they're also really community engagement focused. In other libraries, you know, sometimes you have to advocate to be able to do community engagement work. And that's a hoop I didn't have to jump through in this position. So I'm really grateful to have kind of skipped those hoops in this position. Um, so here's some demographics of Glenview Public Library. It's a really highly educated, affluent town. We're about 20 miles out of Chicago. About 1/5 of the population is foreign born. There are 3 high schools in the area, 2 are private, 1 is public. Most households are married couple. On average, their work commute is about 30 minutes, and the jobs that they have are healthcare, finance, and other white collar jobs. There's many executive level Glenview residents, and just overall, the town is very engaged and involved and tightly knit. There's lots of restaurants and activities and things to do here in Glenview. And as shown by the median home value, the cost of living here is quite high. So that's just kind of a picture of the community. And then here's some benchmarks of what the library is doing. We're lucky enough to get like a lot of foot traffic from people to read and to study. The tables are pretty consistently full. We've got a lot of study rooms. So I'm grateful to be in a community that values the library. And then here's a picture of the library. It was initially founded in 1931. This is the current building. There was a previous building that we built this one about 14 years ago. And the old library was in the parking lot of where the current library is. So it stayed on the same property. They knocked down one building and then built the other building right next to it. So we are able to afford lots of databases, e-materials. There's something called the Innovation Center, which is sort of like a makerspace, and there's an extensive library of things. So here's kind of an overview of my role here at the Glenview Public Library. I help patrons at the readers and reference desks, and I attend community, business, and career related events. I work on building partnerships with local organizations and advocate for the use of the library by job seekers, professionals, the financially minded, and business owners and managers. I also plan events and coordinate appointments. And I'm the only librarian here that that serves job seekers and professionals and business owners, and it's my entire job. I don't really have any other duties, and I don't have a collection area. So yeah. So here's some of the stuff I'm gonna talk about today. Appointments, and then a document called Keys to Starting a Business, partners, content creation, and then the library sort of pivot towards focus groups. So we have appointments that are facilitated by volunteers, career financial planning and business advising. Those happen monthly, and then we do events kind of similarly to a lot of the other libraries in the area on business topics, investing in career, and job seeking. There's some partnerships of libraries in the northern Chicago area. One is called the Business Interest Group, and they have something called Financial Fitness Month. It's coming up in April, and there's a committee of librarians that together with like 40 libraries are doing 3 Zoom programs next month. And then also there's another group of libraries here called the Lake Cook Career Collaborative, and we sort of group together. We're a smaller group of, I think, 7 libraries, and we plan events for career focused, and those are also Zoom. So I'm really lucky to have like a lot of partnership here with other libraries around us. Glenview Public Library is its own single location library. So it's nice to be able to partner with other libraries in the greater suburban area to kind of plan events, and that kind of takes some of the load off for all of us in terms of advocating and promoting the events, and then also trying to reach, the most people that we can with some of these topics. We also do business book librarian and tech book librarian appointments here. I've noticed that some business people in this area kind of just want to have their appointment like the second that they want it. So I do my best to kind of meet them where they are. So sometimes they'll call me and I'll just be like, yeah, I'm going to send you a Zoom invite right now. We don't get like a ton of them every month, between like 0 and 5. So, that's, part of why we have these, business advising and career and financial appointments as well. And those do sort of fill up. So here's some of the partners that we're working with. The Glenview Chamber of Commerce, I think Brittany's on the call, at the SBDC, at Oakton College, SCORE, and the Consumer Credit Counseling Service of Northern Illinois. And then there's a new, hey Brittany, and then there's a new Illinois WorkNext Center that just opened up in Wheeling, which is like 15 to 20 minutes north of us. So I kind of started working with them. And then Chicago North Shore is a visitors bureau. And I think in the document I shared, it's like a webinar of how a visitors bureau can be a partner to the library and some of the work that we all do to serve businesses and job seekers and etc. So then, of course, local businesses, the volunteers that we have that come into the library, and the other local libraries that we're working with to partner on planning events. So again, this is sort of just a sign of like how like engaged and tight-knit the community is here. And organizations are community oriented and they're just sort of ready to do outreach, which has been amazing. So keys to starting a business. This is a document that myself and other librarians and other people had been working on for some time. I talked a little bit about it at the Entrepreneurship in Libraries conference in last November. So I've got those slides linked, and then there's also a link on this slide to the document. Basically what it is it's a document that goes through a lot of the steps that an entrepreneur or like a prospective business owner would need to look at and learn about and do in order to start their business and make sure that it's legal and they've done it correctly and they've got all their stuff sort of in order. It has links to educational resources and local entrepreneur support network organizations such as the Small Business Development Center and SCORE, and others, and contact information for regulatory agencies. It's got information on like copyright, and then it's got information on like library databases. And then at the back is like a list of organizations in the Chicago area that support entrepreneurs and how they do that. And then they can click to go to those organizations. So it's kind of a long document. It's 26 pages, but if you want to get like the full grasp of what it is, definitely check that out. And then since I don't have a ton of book librarians, I typically, get between like, 1 and 5 a month. I've been working on some content creation to kind of build up the library's reputation as a place that people can go to ask their questions on where to find certain bits of information. Jessica?
I don't know if everyone else is experiencing this. You just got super quiet.
Oh, can you hear me? When did I get quiet?
Oh, that's better.
Okay, what did you guys hear?
I think I heard everything, but yeah, if there was a couple, there was like a minute where it was just like you were really quiet. It does sound like it's better again.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
we could hear everything. It just went way down.
Okay, sorry about that. I don't know what happened. Okay, you can hear me now? Okay, so just to kind of rehash what I was saying about keys to starting a business. This is a document that myself and other people worked on to kind of have a startup guide of what business owners and prospective entrepreneurs might need to do and who they need to contact, and kind of the steps that they need to go to get their business kind of like up and running. It's 26 pages, so it's kind of long, but includes a lot of information about it includes a lot of information about, you know, how to make a business plan. There's like a list of what goes in a business plan, and each one of those things is linked to like a video that they can watch to learn more about like what a competitive analysis is. And it's got like copyright information and information on local organizations that support business owners. And it's just got a lot of stuff in it. It has library resources in it, so definitely check it out. Um, and then since I don't have a ton of appointments right now, I started creating content to kind of build up the library's reputation as a place that people in the community could go to ask questions, to have, you know, find certain bits of information or at least learn where they can find it. So I started making subject-based book lists. There is a team of librarians here at the Glenview Public Library that specifically work to just promote the collection. But I noticed that like business and career were sort of gaps in their coverage. So I started doing it, and luckily enough, like they're just completely here for it. So they've been excited that I've sort of taken off on that, and I've kind of been helping them out. Um, so my supervisor at one point came to me and said that communications was interested in creating some e-newsletters that were subject-based. Because Glenview has a population of not quite 50,000 people, you know, it's a lot for them to try to get everything in the e-newsletter that they send out, which goes out every 2 weeks. So they're starting to kind of encourage people to make more specific subject-based e-newsletters, and that allows them to reach more people with a wider breadth of information, and then also takes the pressure off of them to be the centralized promoter of everything. So we decided to make two. One was for career and job seekers, and then another one was for business and business owners and the financially minded people. And so the lists and stuff that I started making went into those newsletters. And then I also create video tutorials on like what library databases can be used for, like why would you use them, what do you use, you know, which resource for what. And they're very specific, like 2 to 4 minutes long of like, for example, how to get a tear sheet in Nexus Uni is one of them. So I've got the two January editions of that e-newsletter linked on the slide. There's 4 new books, the 2 library events, and then there's a book list, and then there's a resource blog that promotes a non-library resource, and that's for information and media literacy, and just kind of to promote our partners and to answer questions that the library might not have like an immediate answer to, but you know, the resources out there. So that kind of led into this promotional campaign. The library has done, I think, 2 of them before. They did one in 2024, and then they did another one on the cookbooks later in 2024. So the goal of this was to specifically increase the library's database usage. Can everyone still hear me? Okay, cool. So this was a partnership between communications and then my department, adult community engagement, and then kind of the other half of my department, adult collections. So they created all these graphics. So there's like the two you see on the screen, which are like banners, and then there's 8.5 by 11 and 11 by 17 flyers. And then there's this thing called a rack card. It's like 11 inches tall and 4 inches wide. And I was just going to hand it out whenever I went to the chamber and or attended like a community event. And then there's like a wallet size QR code. So this involved me working with communications. We did like this card sort. So I wrote down all of the sections of a page on our website that was devoted to business. Like there was like a banner for databases and a banner for blogs and like a banner for books. And then we rearranged those cards until we got like an order and like a list of content for the business page. And then that kind of became the updated library webpage. And then I wrote a couple blogs on the databases that the library wanted to feature. And then Adult Collections is working on an in-library book display on the first floor, which is like a coveted space of the library. There's 2 floors. There's one, the main entrance with our like marketplace area, and that has like our hot picks and the fireplace and like the copier. And then the upstairs is where nonfiction is. So that marketplace is kind of like a coveted display area. A lot of people just go there and hang out there, and that's like a place that we kind of recommend people, if they don't know what they're looking for, that's like a good place in the library for them to go. And then I was going to bring these graphics and flyers to chamber events, and then I'm also doing table sessions in the library lobby. And I had the first one, I believe, as February opened. I think I had it on February 5th, and I brought down like a ton of swag, and I think I ended up having like 22 conversations and like 30 people took swag. And there were several people that stopped at the desk that I had longer conversations with that like I don't think I would have otherwise connected with. So I'm really glad that I did it. I sort of did it as a part of this campaign, but I have several more going just to kind of, start talking about that the library offers this and this is something that we do. And, I can talk to them about like, one person has, a kid that needed an internship. So I was like, yeah, you should go to the career center. It's in Wheeling, stuff like that. So that's sort of been our promotional campaign. It went out in the overall library e-news as well. Now the library is sort of pivoting towards focus groups. So as I mentioned a couple times before, like Glenview Public Library is really community engagement forward. Both adult and youth are divided into like adult collections and collections and community engagement. So adult and youth collections, adult and youth community engagement. And then I've got the library strategic plan attached, and doing more of these focus groups is part of the library's like ongoing strategic plan for the next 3 years. And I did invite my supervisor to talk with me, but unfortunately she had another meeting, so she couldn't be here. But the library wants to know like what are the community successes and what are their challenges. And the people here being so affluent, they've got a lot to give back, and they're really connected through a lot of frequent networking and community group activity. Like we've got a League of Women Voters group here. We've got a Kiwanis group here. We've got the Chamber, and Rotary, and just all of the networking groups that we can have here, like Glenview has them. So going out to the chamber and all of these other community events is really important for us because, we get to learn about what other people are up to and what their goals are. And sometimes, even if all we do at these events is socialize, like it's okay, because putting in your effort and building a relationship is worth it, even if there isn't immediate return. And I'm really lucky here to have a supervisor who knows that like the library needs to give without an expectation of getting a return, to kind of build those relationships and build that trust in the community. But even going to the events is not necessarily enough because it only reaches the most connected individuals in our community. So we're hoping to reach a wider audience. Like we did a survey. So we have like a bookmark with like a QR code for like a library-wide survey that went into the current strategic plan. I was just going out to like a concert that was in the park adjacent to the library, and I handed out like 50 of them. And we did this 4 times. And that boosted the number of responses we got by like double. So now we're trying to do these focus groups, and luckily enough, we got invited to the chamber board meeting this December. So we had like maybe 20 minutes. I think I've got a link in the document that talked about the slides that I created for that board meeting. I didn't actually use them. I sort of just like used it to come up with my talk, and then I like memorized it. And because they weren't using PowerPoint. So and I had to say it really fast. I only had 5 minutes because we wanted 15 to ask the board our questions. I think we wrote 5 questions and we got through like 2 of them. So our hope is to do more and have them longer. So I think in the summer, we're going to try to do these like community conversations type events where we actively like ask people in the community from certain audience types, like people who are looking for a job, or people who are changing careers, or people who want to start a business or already have one, or just people that are just working. Because there's a large segment of the population that has kids. They're commuting half an hour either way, they're working in person, so like we never see them. Like they're not available because they're either at work or they're watching their kids. So we want to reach them, and we want to know how they want to be communicated with, like what can we do with them, like what can we do for them, how can we help them, etc. So those slides were based off of the libraries build business like slides. So I think I've got that linked in here too. Does anyone have any questions? Sorry, I talk really fast when I'm nervous. Okay. Well, if there aren't any questions, I just want to thank you for having me. So,
Thank you so much, Michelle. That's awesome that you had a meeting and that you're planning to follow up with the community conversations as well.
And I just have comments. I just want to say this is Brittany over at Oakton College, and I do part of my role is working with the Small Business Development Center. So Michelle and I, we have come to work well together, just seeing how our jobs kind of align. And she's great. And we actually use that resource that she wrote. We use that with our clients, with our small business clients, and it is a great resource. Michelle, did you put the link in the chat? Because it's published on their website.
yeah, I think I've got a document with all of the links. It's in the slides, which are linked in that document, and then also there's a link to the keys to starting a business in the document. So unfortunately, it's not, I just wrote it like right before the meeting, so I didn't like, dump it into Canva or anything, but yeah, it's in there.
Okay, I just want to say great presentation, great working with you. And Michelle,
Thank
she
you.
really
Same.
has come in and she's gotten to know everybody, and she's always has great resources. She recently just connected me to SCORE, and SCORE is going to be doing some small business presentations for us. So thank you for that, Michelle. And I
Awesome.
do see that there was a question in the chat for Michelle.
I found a link to your website, but I can't get it to load. Give me a second.
There is another one about the keys document. I think that's
Okay.
the one we're talking about.
Okay, yeah, let me,
I think I dropped the keys document link, if I think I got the right one. Because I think that was, yeah, that was Craig's question, right? He just needed the
this
link.
one should be keys. So if that's the one you're having trouble with. It's opening up right for me, but I'm on a staff computer. But yeah, let me get my email in the chat. So if at any point you have a question, or for some reason, if you want like a resource that I talked about and it's like not working for you, just like feel free to reach out to me. I'll send it to you as soon as I can.
Thanks so much, Michelle, and thanks everybody.
Yeah, I just wanted to
Yeah.
more of a comment, Michelle, that it's very impressive what your library is trying to do in terms of reaching out through surveys, focus groups, etc. I think your strategic plan said having activities, and maybe that's what you were talking about when you go to an activity. It's like having conversations, building relationships with people. It's a tremendous effort. So, it will be interesting to hear what kind of feedback you get over the next few years and then how that helps determine your services and moving forward.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that too. I know some of the like activities that you're talking about in the strategic plan is like having social events. Like I think this summer, one of our other librarians is planning like a speed friending event. So I think that's sort of, what it's talking about as well.
Yeah, I just agree. I think it's so great that this work is built into your role and that you get to really do the community outreach. I know that's something that we found is just like that's such a crucial part of that. And that for you to be dedicated to the business side too is just that's the right way to
Yeah. I'm really lucky that a position like this exists. I found I have been in previous like business librarian type roles, but they didn't all include the sort of outreach that I'm able to do in this position. And that's something that, I had to sort of advocate towards leadership, and depending on the library or the community, that may or may not actually be a priority. So yeah.
yeah.
I completely agree, and I'm very fortunate to have that same kind of support. And Carly, who was my LVB mentor, I think she has that same kind of thing, and it really does make a difference because you have to invest that kind of time to build the relationships in the community. So, way to go.
Thank you. Way to go, Glenview Public Library leadership.
Yeah, super awesome. Thank you so much for the presentation and giving us a little bit of a taste of what you've got going on. Have to keep us informed on, yeah, what the feedback you're getting and the kinds of things that you're seeing as you go. Anybody else have questions or comments or things they want to say about their own work? Michelle, any final thoughts for us?
I'm all talked out, but thank you.
Fair. Okay, everyone. Well, it's great to see you. Hope to see you again in March. Kelly and Brooklyn reach out to me, get you on the schedule. Kristen, others reach out to me and get you on the schedule. I will leave the line open for another minute in case anybody wants to hang back and